Welcome to 44 and 1. GVizzle, Tempest. Today, we have something special. We have stumbled upon on TikTok the new snake oil salesman dating relationship coaching guide guru, Bro-Psychology douche canoe. And he, lucky for all of us, has written an ebook, a few ebooks. And we are going to go, it's a free ebook called The Lost Language of the Female Species.
Brackets.
Learn Womanese.
Close brackets.
And I'm already upset by that. Womanese, I mean, that lacks any sort of intellectual creativity. It's just lazy.
And it's also, there is kind of like racial undertones to that as well. Because certain languages end with "e's" at the end. And it seems to be, why not womanesque or, I don't know, womanite or womanish?
A woman, yeah, womanish, womanian.
Yeah.
Like Italian.
Why specifically womanese?
Because he knew I was Portuguese and was going to be doing this.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It is a fucking shit show. And he tries to make it look like an aged book. I mean, we'll show it, but yeah, he tries to make it look like an aged tome of knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to put the pages up for people so they can see what we're talking about as we're talking about pages.
Unfortunately, the guy took the book down before I could edit the pages into the whole of the video. But so we're only missing chapter 1, but we do have chapter 2, so stay tuned for that later. And look at the timestamps below if you want to jump straight to it.
Wonderful, because it's I'm already snorting and I can't even.
And at this point, I just want to say, like, I only know, I think, one page that you showed me, and it was diabolical.
Yeah, I got a few pages in, and then I had to stop because I was starting to feel my rage meter. But today,
I'm excited for page 45.
That was a good one. So, page 1. Have you ever wondered why women are always lying and cheating but never seem to get caught? No, because women aren't always lying. Ever been dumped out of the blue without warning? There were probably signs. There were probably signs.
It's never out of the blue.
No. Have you ever been completely blindsided by the shocking discovery of your wife or girlfriend's cheating?
No.
Of course you have. We all have. Have you?
Never been caught.
I mean, liar. You all have.
But I've never been blindsided, and it's never been a shock. I'll say that. Because if you pay attention to your relationship, it's not a surprise.
Exactly.
It's like, I thought you were.
You should be able to see it coming.
Yeah.
Most men these days are completely clueless about how to communicate, about how women communicate. It's because they don't believe us when we say things. As men, we tend to communicate overtly, meaning we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Here's what I love about that is before I was able to download this ebook, I was given an opportunity to buy one of his ebooks. And one of them is called 10 Questions a Woman Will Ask You on a First Date and How to Answer Them.
Well.
So you're giving men a script, and then on the first page of your book saying, we mean what we say and we say what we mean. Yeah. But here are the words you need to use on a date.
Yeah, here's the mathematical equation for how to bang a chick.
Yeah. I want to teach you how to be deceptive and manipulative, but also we mean what we say and we say what we mean. Women, on the other hand, communicate covertly, which means that they say and what they mean are two very different things. They're really not. You hear a woman say, I want this thing, and you think she means she wants some other thing that you want.
And it's like the one that Bill Burr did, which was quite funny in his stand-up, was about how no means no, but no means I don't want you knowing that I've done this act with 40 other guys and I want you to think it's my first time. But blokes like this guru guy think that that's women not saying what they mean. Whereas if you actually listen to a woman and know her well, I mean, I'm talking about a woman about this, obviously, but but women do tell you what they mean. It's all in tone, it's all in delivery, it's all in body language. They are telling you what they mean. You're too thick to know.
And that, like, he's trying to make it sound like women are the only problem here. Meanwhile, he's written this book about how to deceive women into getting exactly what you want out of them. So you can't be here and play the victim while also victimizing.
And if there was a difficulty, if this was a real problem that he's supposedly uncovered, why are so many men and women in a relationship with each other then? How do so many blokes get laid? It's not a secret, is it?
It's really not. No. So next, as someone who's gotten pretty fluent in Womanese, I will teach you how to interpret the statements women make. Okay. We're going to skip all the introductory blah, blah, and just get straight to it.
Yeah, I want to get to the lessons.
Yeah. So pay attention, take notes, and enjoy the ride. You're about to separate yourself from 97% of men.
I like the bit before that.
Which
From
one?
young hot girls to divorcees, to MILFs and even cougars, you will always know what women of all ages, all races, and all socioeconomic backgrounds are really telling you when they are speaking to you.
I got halfway through this book and there was no like, here's the chapter on upper middle class white women. Here's the chapter on like, there was no differences. So he's saying that every single woman, regardless of age, race, or socioeconomic background, is exactly the same.
This basic? And I mean, I'm kind of half expecting like an update to the book to bag yourself a hot Ukrainian refugee.
Wow.
Get them at their most vulnerable.
But we're not predators. Every woman's social conscience has two departments. One department knows the unfiltered truth. Charlotte, the bad girl, will represent this department.
Did she hurt him? I bet Charlotte's a bad ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. The other department figures out ways to spin the truth in such ways that absolves her of any wrongdoing, sidesteps accountability, makes her the victim, and puts her in the best possible light. This department will be represented by Daisy, the good girl. So we have one who... So the one who speaks the truth is the devil. And the other one is the... Okay.
That makes no sense, does it? So the straight talking, straight shooting, I'm going to give them the unvarnished truth, is the bad guy. And the good guy is the one that's going to spin doctor it and like fuck with your head. That's backward.
Yeah. Chapter 1, Saving Face. Women do not like looking bad in any situation. Who does? Really? Is this just women? Like, men thrive on being embarrassed and looking like idiots. In fact, they avoid it at all costs. They do this with misleading phrases, convoluting the truth, or just flat out lying. This section will focus on things women say to make sure they come out smelling like roses in any and all situations. When she says, "Don't judge me," what does she mean, Chris?
She means, do not hold me accountable for my bad decisions.
Or she just means, go fuck yourself, don't judge me.
Yeah. Just keep your opinion to yourself, asshole. Yeah,
nobody cares. Nobody cares what you think. So they use "don't judge me" phrase to preemptively avoid being held responsible for their actions. I've never preemptively said, "Don't judge me."
Oh, I've heard people use this, right? And I'll just give two examples. So there was one, it's like, if a woman's at a bar and she's about to down a pint or something, she goes, "Okay, everybody, don't judge me, I'm going to down this pint, but don't judge me." Yeah, it's just playful.
It is. I've never heard it being said in a serious context.
The only serious time I heard it was that somebody was telling me about how her roof had collapsed on her house and had a hole in it, and she hadn't got it fixed yet, and it'd been like 2 weeks. And then I laughed, and she says, "Don't judge."
Okay, no, I see. But still, it's still kind of in light, right?
Yeah, she's making light of the situation because she knows how ridiculous it is.
I mean, she could have just said it was a skylight.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the glass to be installed. And hoping it doesn't rain.
If you really want to fuck with the guy's head, like, you could have just put crystals around it and been like, "No, the crystals will keep the air out." Capricorn's in retrograde.
Is that even a thing?
I don't know.
Okay. So this one was boring. He cheated on me. Translation: I cheated on him. I don't understand how this, like... Okay. He cheated on me. Translation: I cheated on him.
That's ridiculous. Like, I haven't even got any words for how dumb that is.
I know. Sometimes it renders you speechless, this stupidity.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, you would say, if you were trying to save face, you would say something completely different than bringing in adultery. Yeah. Because either way, you might look bad somehow, depending on the listener. The listener could conjure up anything to make you look bad.
Yeah, I would just say it didn't work out.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's find out what she really means. or why she says this. This is a go-to lie women tell their family and friends to cover up their own cheating. The reason they use this lie so much is they know it can't be proven. And sure it can. And she knows her family and friends will take her side. Not necessarily. I have someone that I know in my life who cheated on her husband and her family took his side. Yes, that's a whole other story.
It does happen.
But like, it's not a lie women tell their family and friends, because if they're your friends, you can tell them I was cheating on him. Like, this guy just assumes that women are lying to everybody all the time, constantly.
And the other thing is like, depending on what your friends are like and how close you are, how much they know about your relationship, how much they know about your partner, and if you were cheating on them, then you're either going to get high fives or they're going to say, well, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to say one or the other.
It's usually going to come down to, if you're that unhappy in your relationship, just break up with them. Just end the relationship instead of cheating. But I mean, like, most people cheat for a reason, whether that's, I think I read a study once. I don't know how correct the study was, but it said that men usually cheat because they are tempted, and it's more a physical need they're trying to fulfill. But when women cheat, it's more of an emotional need that needs to be filled. So this guy, instead of like trying to discover why someone is cheating on him, is just assuming that all women cheat just because they're whores and bitches.
And that's why, like, this is why I think that, like, if a man cheats on a woman, the woman should just leave him, because he can't be trusted in that particular relationship. You might be trusted with other people, but not in that one. And I think that, like, if a woman cheats on a man, the man should work to find out why she cheated, and if that's acceptable to him and like the problems had in a relationship, a woman can be forgiven for it because of why the cheating happens. Like, I don't know. I know I'm being people probably think I'm being reverse sexist. I've got like internalized misandry.
Well, no, but I mean, it is a bit of a simplistic way of looking at it, but it's not the wrong way of looking at it, right?
It's
like,
a good rule of thumb.
Exactly. Like for a lot of men who have been caught cheating, usually it's just like, I was tempted, she was younger, she made me feel good because she made me feel good. Whereas women, it's like, I just wanted someone to not see me as a wife, a mother, or like there's different motivations for anybody who's cheating.
And which is why, like, with a woman, like, you have to find out why she was cheating. And then, so like, if it's because you had systematic functional problems in the relationship, they can be worked on, and then you get rid of the reason for the cheating. But a bloke, we've always got testosterone and we've always got that desire there. It's just that if a bloke gives into that desire, he's weak and a coward. So what's the point in putting up with that?
There you go. Next, when she says he cheated on me, so I dumped him, the translation is I cheated first and he cheated on me. Oh my God, tell me you've been cheated on once without with this writing a 94-page manifesto and making your entire personality around the fact that you got cheated on once. Like,
fucking hell. Like, I mean, see a answer before. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. She's leaving out the part where she fucked up, blah, blah, blah. So we grew apart. Translation, I cheated. Like, it's just funny at this point. Sometimes you gotta wonder if these guys are just doing this for shits and giggles to see like how they can fall into it, because this is absurd.
Well, me and one of my mates at school once used to joke how we'd write a book like this because stupid men would buy it.
This one we were lucky enough to get for free.
Yeah. And the thing is like, everything. So what he's saying is that relationships only end because the bitch cheated.
Yes. Yeah. What I love, I think, the most is that the paper stock he uses. It's like, I don't know if you ever did this when you were in school, but like when we were in school and had to do like history projects, if we wanted to make the paper look old, you would like dip it in tea to age the paper. Yeah, it's like he's done this to make it look like it was something he found with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
But it's so cheaply done that like it's only the background and all the writing is really bold and bright.
It's awful. It's awful. Why does she say this? A woman will never say I cheated. She'll sugarcoat it with something nebulous, like we grew apart, as if to imply that it magically forced her on another man's dick. Someone did this guy dirty.
I think they did. Probably
in the 8th grade, and he's been angry about it ever since.
Oh no, it's probably even before that. It's probably he caught like Charlotte behind the bike shed snogging his best mate.
Probably.
Tonsil tennis,
or like
and that's
even
it.
Something sadder, like his mom cheated on his dad and left the family relationship, and his dad was feeding him all this stuff all these years, and he's just a broken soul inside, and he hasn't been able to reconcile that within himself.
He caught Mummy kissing Santa.
Oh, we should say this for a Christmas episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Next, I fell out of love with him. Translation. You guessed it. I started fucking another guy.
This right. This is here. What I would say is a case of correlation, not causation, because it's like she might have fallen out of love with him, doesn't know how to end the relationship, started looking for a new one while the other relationship's ending, so like a serial monogamy thing, starts fucking another guy, but she's all intents and purposes left the bloke, and he just hasn't noticed yet.
Yeah. That's a very good way of looking at it. Everything. A woman never falls out of love with a man if she hasn't fallen in love with another man first. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. She will never fall out of someone unless she's fallen in love. Women are not incapable of being on their own or being single or being their own person. They don't need to constantly be in love with someone. And I thought she was just fucking him. Now she's in love with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that. Like women don't love sequentially either. Like you said, there could be gaps, there could be overlaps. There's like romantic love, there's fraternal love, familial love, or there's friendship love. Like,
it's not always immediate either. It's not like, oh, I made eye contact with this guy when we were picking cantaloupes at the grocery store. Now I'm in love and we banged in the produce section. Like, it's...
I know someone that banged a guy in a hospital store cupboard in a hospital. Yeah.
Was she a patient?
No. She worked there. She's a radiologist, and he was a doctor. And she said that like he'd just been making eyes at her when they kept seeing each other in the corridor. So one day she just pulled him in the storeroom.
That sounds like a plot of an ER Grey's Anatomy.
Doesn't it? Or just like a really bad porno. She barely knew him.
And then the pizza arrived, and yeah. We ended things mutually. He dumped me. Well, I thought men didn't break up with women.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
They're always the dumpee, not the dumper.
And they're always shagging someone, apparently. So it's always about sex. So.
And once again, why did you say this? Women never leave a relationship if they haven't started another one.
That's...
okay, so if women are just constantly in relationships.
Yeah.
What he's making it sound like. So he's teaching men how to get a woman, but what he's teaching men to do is to find a woman who's already in a relationship and then get her to sleep, because they're never not in a relationship, according to this. So he's telling men, get women to cheat with you and then call them a whore for cheating. Is what's happening.
Yeah. And gaslight them about it. And
I like sure on the same page.
And he's always dealing with absolutes here. Women never leave a relationship if they haven't started another one. This whole text is never.
When a woman says the breakup was a joint decision, you can bet your ass he dumped her.
Maybe I just know really. Okay, maybe every single woman I know is secretly a man, or I only know good women that he's never met.
Wait till you see how big my dick is.
Yeah, it's bigger than mine.
I haven't seen it. Let's not give our viewers the wrong impression here. When she says, I'm doing this for me, translation, I'm doing this for more attention from guys.
Oh, that's so shallow.
I mean, there are some women who do want to seek out the male gaze and who do it. That is not the majority. For the most part, when women say I'm doing it for me, again, it's like no one believes them. They are doing it for me. When I put on makeup or do my hair, I do it for me because I enjoy it. It makes me feel pretty.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for anybody else. If I was doing it for my husband, I wouldn't be walking around in
you
dog hair covered sweatshirt and yoga pants.
The other thing is though, like both can be true as well. Yeah. Like they could be doing it for themselves, and if they're on a night out, they want to catch the eye of a handsome man. It's both.
Exactly. Like it's not. I mean, it's not like men don't get gussied up when they go out too.
Yeah, they do.
I mean. Yeah. His hair is always finely coiffed when he's making his videos.
He's always got his tight t-shirt on. And
exactly. Who's he doing that for? Every decision a woman makes, there we go in absolutes, is for the sole purpose of attracting more men. Losing weight, changing their hair, anything and everything they do, is to increase their opportunities for dick. Who can read this and be like, yeah, no, this guy talks sense.
I know.
Anything and everything a woman does. Anything and everything.
Like, all you have to have is one conversation with any woman will throw this all out of the water.
Even a guy with a sister will be able to tell you this is bullshit.
I mean, if this is true, I feel sorry for your husband. He must constantly be run ragged.
You can feel sorry for him for other reasons.
Yeah. No wonder why his knees are fucked. He has to be this busy.
Anything and everything I do.
Yeah. Every
said.
single follower you've got on TikTok is for that, to increase your opportunities for dick.
It's an opportunity for dick.
Yeah.
It's going to be the title of my memoir.
Oh my god.
When she says I'm in an open relationship, translation, I cheat and he doesn't.
No, what that is that you don't have communication in the relationship if one of them isn't happy. They might have an open relationship.
And I don't think open relationships, I mean, I've known a lot of people in my days, and I don't know anybody who's in an open relationship. I don't think it's the norm.
No.
Or not the norm. Not that it's not normal, that it's not as prevalent as some people would believe it to be.
It's not the majority.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, the thing it is a small minority of people that take part in open relationships, and I think a lot of people are confused about it who aren't in one, and then I think they make a lot of value judgments about people who are, because A, they might be jealous of the freedom, and B, they imagine themselves with their mind, like they project themselves into that relationship and think about how they would feel.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you're in an open relationship, that's legitimately an open relationship, there's a lot of communication and trust and respect there. Like you don't go into that lightly, because you're bringing other people into it, that there's health issues, there's medical, like there's just so much that goes into it that you can't do that with someone unless you are completely engaged in that relationship and trusting and respectful and communicating.
Yeah.
What do I know? This is a woman who apparently doesn't speak Womanese. Yeah. Women cheat all the time as a matter of habit.
A matter of habit.
Where does this kind of thing women get the time?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, so assuming, right, if it's a woman with all of the things to do, so like she has a husband, she has more than one kid, she has
more than one boyfriend.
Yeah. Anybody I know that's in the past who's been cheating, they've had to significantly alter their lives to do it in order to maintain that. You know, like
that's
I know
not an easy thing to do.
Well, my personal situation once was that she had to ship her husband off to another country so that she'd have the space to be able to do it.
I mean, especially now, because my husband and I work from home. Like,
yeah, could you imagine?
I'd have to be like tying my dogs up to trees so I could go into the house for
And like, maybe your job. I mean, if you're a postman, there was a few times when I was a postman and women answered in their underwear, but that was a bit weird. But I don't think that was about me specifically. I think they were just sunbathing.
Some people are just comfortable enough in their own skin to answer in their underwear.
Yeah.
God bless. I don't normally do this, she says. Translation, I do this all the time. I just don't want you to think I'm a slut. That's because women can't be honest with men like this, because anything they do, they think she's a slut.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the obsession at the moment is with body count, isn't it? That's what they call it, body count. And it's like, well, and then I
wonder how Ice-T feels about that, because he had a band back in the day called Body Count.
Oh, brilliant. There's a shitty metaphor, apparently, or analogy going around, which is like, if one key can open many locks, it's called a master key, and if one lock can be opened by many keys, it's a shitty lock. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard, because women aren't...
Did you see there was...
you show me that.
The woman just tore it down, being like, if you're comparing women to locks, that's a problem. Like, you already have a bigger problem than just this whole body count thing. Like, there was also another guys who were talking about, if a woman sleeps with 50 men, it'll like, her vagina will get all misshapen. Like 12-pound babies don't come out of them on the regular. But if she sleeps with one man 50 times, that's fine, because somehow her vagina knows.
That is such bullshit.
Like a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah. I mean, like, speaking as a man, right, with experience with women, is that all women are different. downstairs, like, or their anatomy is different.
Just like all men are different.
Yeah, but it's never that correlated with their past or what they've done. It's just biology.
It's like like there was a big thing about thigh gaps a few years ago.
Yeah.
That like if a woman had a thigh gap, she was a slut. It's like, no, that's just how your body is built. Like those are bones, right? Like our bones are made of paper mache. Like
it's so stupid.
Not that flimsy.
They come out like a H, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, like because there has to be space for the baby.
Yeah, and like how some women's pelvises are shaped or whatever, it changes whether or not it determines whether or not you're going to have a thigh gap. When I first lost weight, I had a thigh gap, and I never had one before because my thighs were always like, yeah. So one day I was sitting there at the dog park, and like my phone slipped between my legs, and I tried to catch it with my thighs, and it kept going through, and I was so confused because I'm like, what the frick is that?
That's so funny.
It's also how I lost a phone in the toilet because I expected my thigh.
I guess if you've always been doing it one way, then it is gonna.
Yeah, I had to learn how to, like, one time we were in a restaurant, my husband and I, and like I had to go to the washroom. This is after I'd lost the weight. I had to go to the washroom, and these two people were sitting at separate tables, but the backs of their chairs together. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I can't get my fat ass through that space. So I walk up and I was like, excuse me. And they kind of looked, and they like moved in an inch. And I was like, in my head, I was like, that's so fucking rude. I was like, excuse me. And then they like, they moved in. And then I like slid through without any issue. And I was like, oh, I was trying to fit my old body through, not my new body through. And they thought that I was just this asshole who was like, make space for me.
Yeah, why I'm awesome.
So when she says, I don't do this, I think this guy's, I mean, he's almost onto something here, but not really. He says they want to engage in slutty behavior. It's not slutty without being labeled a slut. Because if they were just to straight up say to the man, yeah, like we're going to have sex and we're going to enjoy it, and maybe or maybe we're not, we're going to see each other again, he's going to call you a slut. This is a defense mechanism that women have against men like this.
Yeah.
Remember, gentlemen.
Yeah.
No, sir. Remember, gentlemen, you're not special. She just wants you to think you are. Unlike everything in this book.
Remember, gentlemen, you're not special, so stop expecting to be treated as such. I think that's how that should end.
Yes. That's a good one. I like that. Also, you're not special, but you're also not treating her like she's anything special. She's just a commodity to you, so don't expect to be treated better than you're treating somebody else.
Yeah.
Do unto others. I'm not like most girls. I am like most girls, but I want you to think I'm not.
I don't really have anything to say to that, because that is that dumb. And like I've said in a TikTok recently, women are a heterogeneous group. They have as many differences and tastes and everything as men do. So stop assuming that they're all alike.
Yes. Let's move on to his explanation. Every girl says this to a guy at some point. This is what we call snowflaking.
What?
No, we don't call that. Nobody calls it that. The thing is, women know they're not special. They just want you to think they are. And men, you're not special. We just want you to think you are. So what is happening?
Yeah, what is going on?
All women are not the same, but all women are like that.
What? That makes no fucking sense. This is like those comments you get on TikTok that literally you're just like, what the fuck does that mean? And you can't reply. There is no reply to that because it's so stupid.
It reminds me, so in the show Roseanne, when they aired it originally, Lacey Goranson, who played Becky, left for a couple seasons, and then they replaced her with Sarah Chalk, and then Sarah Chalk left, and they brought Lacey Goranson back for a bit. And there was one episode where they were like talking about the future, and John Goodman was playing the son in the future, and he just kept rocking back and forth saying, they say she's the same, but she isn't the same. They say she's the same, but she isn't the same. Talking about the two different actresses that had played the same character. That's what this reminds me of. Like, women aren't the same, but they're all the same. Women aren't the same, but they're all the same.
Yeah, so that's pretty accurate.
Chapter 2. We made it through chapter 1. So what has chapter 1 taught us? Lessons?
Okay, so lessons from chapter 1. What are we thinking? That all women are alike, but they're different. And they want you to think that you're special, even though they don't think you are. And they want to feel like they are special. They fucked everybody. They cheat all the time. So you've got to ensnare a woman that's in a relationship, because all women are in relationships all the time.
That's about as clear as a synopsis as that whole chapter was. Are you looking for fun new glasses that won't break the bank?
go to Zeelool.com. They have daily flash sales. You can find frames as low as $2. Prescription, non-prescription, sunglasses, they have it all. Use my promo code to save.
As an academic psychologist, what are your thoughts on his manifesto?
It's very troubling. Okay, I'm speaking purely academically here, and I'm not a clinician or anything like that, so I'm not going to analyze the guy himself. But reading this on its own, I'd say I'm quite concerned for the men reading it because it's quite hateful. There is a lot of misogyny in there, like misogynistic undertones that are actually quite harmful to women. And young men are very impressionable, particularly from about the age of 12 upwards. And if they read that, they're going to get a very false interpretation of what women are like and what women want. And I don't think that people should be going to a man with that outlook in order to get answers. They're better off actually talking to women and asking women questions and actually going out and talking to women in the real world, not for the idea of chatting them up or dating them, but you don't have those skills to even talk to them. If you're reading this in order to learn about women, that tells me that you don't have the skills to talk to women at all, if any of this says something to you. So what these men should just ditch the idea of dating. You need to go back to square one and develop some real social skills and a proper understanding of women as human beings, because this is just turning them into idols for, like, they basically turn them into objects to have sex with. And that's very damaging.
Because none of this is about, like, he touts himself as a dating coach or dating expert, but none of this is about dating a woman or being in a relationship with a woman. It's about being duplicitous and deceiving a woman into having sex with you so you can ghost her and then go online and complain about how all women are bitches. Yeah,
it's a handbook of psychopathy combined with misogyny. The transactional way that he's teaching people to think is how psychopaths think, and it's how sex offenders think as well.
It's highly problematic.
Yeah, that's
an understatement.
I wish there was a stronger word. I wish there was a stronger word for it.
Does she want it to fuck or not?
That's so, like, this fucked with my head so much I can't remember how it's supposed to look.
There's no apostrophe.
No, there isn't, is there?
No.
But he stupided it out of my head.
But how would spell check not pick that up? Because there's...
Oh, no, I think he's basically, maybe he's feminized his spell check, so he thinks that because he's the man, he's right, and no spell check is going to tell him what to do.
Or go with me on this. Yeah. He has his spell check said to ignore words in all caps. So chapter 2. Oh, this is a big one. Okay, first sentence. Yeah, they should believe that because women are people too.
Yeah.
No, they don't do a much better job at hiding their sexual desires because, well, maybe they do because every time they express their sexual desires, men call them whores.
And I think there's gender differences in how it's exhibited. And I think that men who think that they just don't know how to understand women, and they don't understand what women are telling them. It's a communication thing. Like I say, like if they just get to know women as human beings first to make friends with them, then they'll realize that there is a lot of this depth to them. And that they are human beings.
The reason they hide these urges is because they don't want to be labeled a slut. But then don't label them as sluts then. Problem fucking solved.
Exactly.
Who does he think is labeling these women as sluts? Not themselves, not their friends.
And good men aren't either. Like, this is the difference between nice men and good men. Is that good men aren't labeling them sluts. Good men are like, they accept that women are sexual creatures and they have their own fantasy lives, and just comes back to that.
But also, like, he's the kind of guy who would talk about like the whole nice guy trope, but it's like he's just teaching men how to pretend and how to fake being a good guy. Yeah. And then when their true colors come out and they're really bad guys, then other guys will, like, women always go for bad guys. It's like, yeah, but they didn't know they were bad guys when they started. Exactly. It's because you were faking it and hiding who you really were until you got what you wanted, and then you ghosted, and then you wonder why women have trust issues or women have.
But that exactly sums up why this is such a problem. This mentality is because that is sex offender thinking. That is what they do, and that is how victims are created. Is that they put on, like, they push all of the buttons that they know they've got to push to make it look like they're good guys. But this is why everybody out there is trying to warn other men and women that nice isn't a personality. Just because they're saying and doing the right things doesn't mean that doesn't mean they've got a personality. It doesn't mean that they're good people.
No, they're not whole people, right? Like
No.
a good person is more than just someone who's going to hold a door open for you and not call you a whore on the first date.
Yeah. And then there's a big thing at the moment where men are always like moaning about being catfished and stuff. And it's like, dude, men are doing that in a worse way, because women might fuck with their appearance in photographs or whatever, but what you're doing as men is way worse, because you're changing your whole fucking personality just to make it look like you're dateable when you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they're surprised.
Catfishing.
Then they're surprised when women break up with them later. It's because you were never who you really were. Your true colors came out, and they never would have dated you had they known that you were a shitbag.
Yeah, exactly. With no personality.
Yeah. Oh, so chapter 2 is also more of the same. So if we go to the next page, he's a nice guy. Translation, I don't want to fuck him. And you know what? Not every woman owes you sex. Yeah, she can.
It's just like, being a nice guy isn't like correlated with your good looks or your resources or your humor or anything like that. That just means that you're an average bloke and you're okay to talk to. You're pleasant. That's all that means. It doesn't mean that you're well suited for them, because it's about more than being nice.
And just because someone says, I mean, when she says he's a nice guy, she means he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to mean anything more than that. It doesn't have to, like, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't want to fuck him, but it's not that he's owed to it because he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of blokes that I know who are known as a nice guy, like, but they've still got girlfriends and wives and stuff. Like, so it doesn't mean that people don't want to fuck them. It's just that everybody's got a taste.
But it's also the blandest descriptor of a person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if there's nothing that stands out as being particularly impressive or particularly problematic, oh, he's nice. Right? He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's not offensive. He's not over the top funny or special in any, like, it's just, he's just a nice person. Like,
average.
It's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Not being a nice guy is being a dick. Like, what's the preference here?
Yeah. Exactly. And then, okay, so this bit here where he says, this is what women say about men they don't want to fuck without hurting his feelings. And it's kind of like, that's not what they're doing when they say somebody's a nice guy, not as standard as default. But the fact is what he should be deconstructing is, why are women so careful not to hurt men's feelings? Yeah?
Yeah, it's like there was that, there was a Reddit question about, like, men, what was your worst first date? And one of the ones that this guy posted was that on a first date, this woman wanted to order the most expensive drink. And that was his worst first date. And it's like, oh, let's talk to women about their worst first date.
Yeah.
Where they're assaulted and they're abused. And, like, that's your biggest problem is buying a $15 drink? Like, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, there's countless stories every single day of women who are assaulted, who are unalived, who are for rejecting men, which is why women have become so careful about not rejecting men harshly, because when they do, they get acid thrown in their faces, they get stabbed and shot, and like,
it really happens. And like, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's not conjecture, it's not anecdotal. Is that women get fucked with because the man can, you know? Because
men think they're entitled to it. And like, it happens from the time they're children, how they're taught that they can get anything they want and they're little kings, and they just grow up with this mentality that they are entitled to everything. Yeah. And I mean, of course, not all men, blah, blah, blah.
But the type of men who turn into sex offenders, though. Like, we're talking
about
men
who read stuff like this, right? Like the type of guy who puts out this type of material and the type of guy who consumes this type of material. Those are the types of guys that women are the most afraid of, because they're the ones who feel like, well, I said the right things. I did the right things. I did what this guy told me to do. Why aren't you naked in my bed yet? And then that's when they go into predator mode.
Yeah, exactly. Because they think they're owed what they're due, kind of thing. Because I have known blokes in the past that are like that they do see it very transactionally. Like that bloke I spoke about on TikTok earlier, the possible sex offender, like, and then he texted my ex-girlfriend, and then when he was like, she turned him down. Just that's the kind of girl she was. She just bluntly said it. Now look, blah blah blah. I'm not interested. And then he just came out with all the insults and started belittling her and insulting her.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. Like, I'm on Reddit. There's a bunch of different subreddits where people share screenshots of like Tinder conversations or whatever, and like a woman will say like, I'm just, I enjoyed our time together. I just didn't feel a connection. So, thank you, but no thank you. And then they get like 15 text messages in a row calling them fat, ugly, useless. No one's ever going to love you. I was doing you a favor. And
yeah, it's fucking awful.
It is awful.
And most of their insults aren't even true.
Yeah, like some guys come out with like, oh, you're a beautiful woman. Let's go out. Oh, thank you, but I already have a boyfriend or whatever.
Well, you're ugly cunt anyway.
Yeah, that bitch. I was just doing you a favor. You'd be lucky to go with a guy like me. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What I wish though was that future women were then able to see those messages and know that happened.
Yeah.
That so they know he's that kind of bloke.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. It's like when you post on like Reddit, especially, they make you take out the usernames, and it's like, no, people need to know.
Yeah.
There needs to be some sort of warning or red flag that says this person's a piece of shit, and he's going to treat you like
accountability.
Yeah. So next,
actually, I came up with an idea of how a dating site that would stop all of this shit. A biometrically encoded login, and you're only allowed to make one account ever, and you can't make duplicates because it's bio-locked to you. And then you have to get at least 2 women to give you a good review who also have things.
We could partner that up with my old idea of the dick pic database.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Man, something has to happen with that. I've never done that in my life, non-consensually. I mean, like, it's just, why would you do it? Have you seen that Vice did a thing? They were trying to make people feel bad for sex offenders, and then at the end, the bloke's like, "Yeah, I'm turning over a new leaf. He's come out of prison. He's going to make it, and all that." And the end of the Vice thing, the documentary ends with. And a couple of days at the end, after we finished filming the documentary, he sent a penis picture to our producer.
Oh my God. I mean, have men actually looked at penises? They're
just disgusting.
They don't look, I mean, there's nothing really appealing visually about them.
No, they just dangle. Oh man.
Anywho, I just love the energy around him. I totally want to fuck him. And what's the problem with it? Like, if that's what she says and that's what she means, what is the problem?
Yeah.
Because if she said what the translation is, you'd call her a whore.
And the other thing is that, like, what she's saying there as well, if she means that she wants to fuck him when she says that, that's what she's saying as to why. She's telling you why she wants to fuck him.
Exactly.
Because she loves the energy around him. He's fuckable.
That's the quantifier, not the whole statement.
Yeah. And that there is just that they don't understand
nuance.
Yeah. Like the whole time women are telling you what the answers are.
It's like he's a Neanderthal that feels like he just needs to speak in like simple language, right? Like, me hungry, me eat food. Right?
Yeah,
like, there's no conversation. It's just everything has to be directive and simplistic.
Oh no, I won't say it.
Look at the next one. When he says, so they find something obscure about a guy and play that up as an excuse to be around him. How is someone's energy obscure?
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Oh yeah.
Why is Lauren around Chad so much? They can answer with, oh yeah, she loves his energy. Yeah, some people have great energy. They're enthusiastic, they're exuberant, they're fun to be around. They just get like, that's not an obscure thing.
Well,
I think it's because he doesn't understand that people are more than their physical parts.
Yeah. And they're a bit more. And like the other thing is that like Laura might like to be around Chad so much because Chad isn't overtly trying to fuck her every time he sees her. And like she knows that she can relax and he's an extrovert and they have a good time together because they have similar interests.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, that's obscure.
And I think that the other reason why that like the guys that are trying to get laid that are reading this and wondering why they're not getting laid, it's because you're thinking about it too much. You're overthinking the situation, and
you're treating women like we're the fucking Da Vinci Code. Like He's husband material. I'm not attracted to him. How many does he really think women are marrying men they're not attracted to?
That's so weird.
So every married man out there, the woman
Yeah.
he's married to isn't attracted to him.
And the other thing is that I've always thought that was meant to be a compliment from, like, in my experience, it's a compliment from women that are already with someone and they're not necessarily they want to fuck you, but it's just someone should and someone will want to. So it's a compliment.
Absolutely, it would be.
Yeah.
A woman isn't going to, I mean, if a woman is seeking a long-term relationship and wants to go that route, she's not going to be with someone who she doesn't think is husband material. Like that means that's someone I can see myself spending my life with. Like that's what that phrase means.
Yeah, he's a safe pair of hands. You know, he's going to be respectful and do the things that you should do.
Yeah.
You don't just marry anybody, do you?
Well, let's see why she says this.
Oh, God. I bet it's about fucking again, isn't it?
It is. Of course it is. It's a man who can provide her a good life after her fill of random dick.
What's wrong with that? But it doesn't mean that the first bit, sexually interested, well, it doesn't mean that, because why would you want to marry somebody you're not sexually interested in? Like, it's all part of it, right? But what's wrong with the rest of it? Like, yeah, women are allowed to sleep with other people before they get married. Like,
yeah. This keeps him in her orbit until she's finished with her hoe phase. I fucking can't. I just can't.
Oh my God. So that makes me think of, like, you know, when you got like a big brother beating up a little brother and then he holds his arm out and then the kids, that's what they're trying to do to their potential husbands, except they're swinging their dick instead of their arms.
By the way, I'm not done with my hoe phase yet.
Yeah. And it's like, she's entitled to that hoe phase. Like, that's human nature, man.
It's like that
Jesus
saying,
Christ.
every guy wants to like bed the whore but marry the Madonna.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, but I'm not turned on. Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, you don't have to be turned on by every single person you meet, unless like this guy is kind of making it that every single woman is a potential conquest. Because could he not fathom that people have preferences and that you can like someone as a person but not like them sexually?
Yeah, exactly. I bet he's going to come out with this stuff in a minute about how, like, good guys never get laid and they always go for bad guys, which is bollocks. But
well, I mean,
to an extent,
and any guy who would read this book is a bad guy pretending to be a good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look, he got lazy. He got lazy on the next page.
Same circumstance, same tactic. Well, why did you bother putting that in there? You
Yeah, exactly.
wally.
Did he have a word count he had to fill? Like,
This is why you need an editor, is so that they'll take that out and they'll just say extraneous duplication.
I mean, an adult wrote this. I don't think so. He probably wrote this in high school and like dug it up and thought, this sounds right. This is how I'll be able to get dumb men to part with 47 pounds. I'll give them this little free taste, and then they'll
47 quid. Oh my God! Yeah, I said, when was this gonna happen? It was the next fucking page. Fuck me. He's a cocky, arrogant arsehole. Translators, I'm definitely attracted to him. No, it.
I mean,
not by default though. No,
not by default. But you could say like, oh, he's good looking. He's a good looking guy. I'm attracted to him. It's too bad he's a cocky, arrogant asshole.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you just wanted to get laid, then why is him being a cocky, arrogant arsehole a problem? If
exactly.
You just to get laid.
And he's just teaching all these men how to be cocky, arrogant assholes to get laid.
Yeah.
I don't think he really needed to develop like a vision statement.
Yeah.
For this book, because it is all over the fucking place.
I'd be like, if I was, you could tell he's not serious about whatever it is he's doing, because if I put out something like this, I'd be embarrassed forever that I ever wrote this down and published it, because it's so fucking bad.
Imagine the women in his life. Like, he's no longer invited to Christmas dinner. Like, there's
surely. I wonder if they know. I wonder what his mum thinks.
Oh, I hope he has sisters who just take the piss out of him every time they see him.
Yeah. Oh, little incel. That's his rapper name.
Little incel?
Yeah.
Their biology can't help but be aroused by men who act like they're God's gift to women.
And like, this bit here, like simply pointing out these characteristics means she's already imagined fucking him.
How
But
is
don't
that
you? Well, people have their own internal worlds. They have fantasy lives. Like,
but that's why these things are so toxic and such a problem, is that like women forever have been screaming, just like, if you want to know what women think, talk to women. But then it doesn't matter, because these types of men honestly believe that that what women say is not what they mean. So there's never any way we can get ahead of it. It's like those people who believe in conspiracy theories, that every time you prove something, they just say, oh, that's just what they want you to believe. Like, there's never any way to dispel these people like this, men like this, of this myth that women are always being duplicitous and being deceptive and being manipulative, because they just cannot fathom that a woman would say what she actually means, because they don't want to hear what she has to say. They don't want to hear when she says, I'm not attracted to you, or I don't like your personality. They don't want to hear that, because then that means they've got to do something to make themselves better. And why do that when you can just lie to women and call them all bitches and whores and say that they're biologically aroused by arrogant men?
Which isn't true anyway. And then denying women their own sexual liberation by saying that she can't even imagine fucking someone. Like, she commits thought crimes now. If she thinks about fucking someone, she's cheating on you. She's a whore.
Because you're just husband material that she's got in her orbit.
Yeah.
This next one is the best de la resistance.
Oh, yeah. Page 45.
I hate you. I love you and I want to fuck you. This is how you know he's watched way too many bad romantic comedies on TV.
Totally.
Picture it. You could see it, right? It's in black and white. He grabs her by the shoulder. He kisses her. She breaks free from the kiss, slaps him with her leather gloves, and then kisses him again.
And then I always thought that, like, if you tried that, then, like, was it you say, Exhibit A, Your Honor? Like, that's what it'll end up as. If you interpret as I hate you, from most women, if they say they hate you, they probably mean it in some way. And they're not saying they want to fuck you.
And like, those are strong words, right? Like, I've never said, I've never felt that depth.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate beats, but I would never say that to a person.
But the other thing is that the whole, like, I say I hate you, but really I want to fuck you thing, that usually comes up in a very specific circumstance, in a very specific dyad between two people. There might be a married couple that are going through a rough time, but then they have hate sex. Or it could be two people who might both be arrogant, cocky assholes, and they end up fucking each other because they hate each other so much, because they remind each other of each other. You know, something like that.
Yeah, but this is not an everyday occurrence.
No, it's
also
very rare.
He's not spending enough time with women to get them to develop this much. Like, you need to know someone for a while to be able to either love them or hate them. And this guy is, because it's so transactional, you're never getting to this point.
Yeah,
never.
Exactly. I mean, I wonder if he's actually got any close friendships with women, or if he ever has, because all of none of none of this would be, like, he wouldn't be able to think of these things if he'd made friends with a woman.
Exactly. Like, this is someone who doesn't believe men and women can be friends.
Yeah. And this is why it's dangerous when men think that, because they end up like this.
Also because they're not seeing women as actually real people.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, so if you're not going out there meeting women and getting to know them and forming bonds with them that aren't sexual, then you're going to have a very narrow view of what they are and what they're about. And then you're not going to see them as human beings, because the only human beings you've ever formed a connection with are men. who
think exactly like you do.
Yeah.
Because the type of man who doesn't think like you isn't hanging out with you. They're out with their female friends.
Yeah. And
living their best lives.
Yeah. Because whenever I've had friends that are like this in my life, they don't become friends. They stay acquaintances, and they're people that I might meet on the night out because they're friends with one of my mates and they tolerate them. But I've never actually formed a close friendship with somebody like this specific thing.
Do you think that men like this would even have close friendships with other men? Because wouldn't they just see every other man as competition for that same woman? Like, wouldn't they all kind of just keep themselves at the periphery? Because I imagine them as being kind of loners.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out like why.
I think that as their friends inevitably start to settle down and find girlfriends and stuff, these kinds of blokes get dropped, and then eventually they're alone. and then they have to go find new friends, younger friends, and all that stuff. Like,
that's sad.
yeah,
I wish I could be sad for them, but
I cannot feel sorry for them because they don't fucking listen.
because of the page that's coming up, I don't feel sad for them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a thin line between love and hate, as the saying goes, and it's 100% true. A woman cannot hate you if she does not love you. So when a woman says this to you or to another man, it's an open invitation to butt fuck her and blow your load in her face, which is exactly what she wants.
I feel like that was something that he wrote fully intending to take it out later because it was so ridiculous and he was angry at the time and then he just forgot.
Yeah. I feel like he was probably whacking off at the time and just decided on a whim to type it because he's whacking off and then forgot to take it out.
This seems like a very specific porn plot that he probably watched, which led to an anal scene. And he was like, yeah,
I'll put that in my book.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because someone's going to read that and think, that sounds reasonable.
Do you know what? Seneca and Marcus Aurelius and Cicero, they all wish they had this guy's literary ability. These ancient philosophers had nothing on this dude.
No, this will go down in the annals of history.
The annals of history. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was page 45.
Oh, and I haven't read past this. I read 245 and then I couldn't stomach it any longer. So this is all new territory we're about to go into. I don't want to ruin our friendship. I don't want to fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing, isn't it?
It's a synonym. Those are
like it's like both are true. So like they don't want to fuck you and they want to stay friends. So
like I don't understand why this is. I don't want to ruin our friend. But you know why? You know why he's saying this is because he doesn't. From his perspective, there is no friendship. He's only there to get laid. So saying that there's a friendship is implying that he actually does see her as a whole complete person and not just a pair of tits and a vagina.
A vagine.
A vagine. This is another sugarcoating tactic. It also means you're in the dreaded friend zone. It means you're her friend. There is no friend zone. I don't know how many times I have to say this. There is no friend zone. She sees you as a friend. You see her as a piece of meat to be conquested, and that's why there is a problem and a disconnect between the two. When she says, I don't want to ruin our friendship, it's because she has mistakenly believed that you give a shit about her as a person.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing, like, this is why I'm adamant as well that, like, the friend zone doesn't exist, because, I mean, it does actually, I was going to say something that doesn't really apply to him, does it? Because he doesn't have female friends. Because I was going to say, dude, just imagine the women that you don't want to have sex with, right? And the bond that you form with them, that's what these women think of you as. But it doesn't apply, does it?
There are no women he doesn't want to have sex with. And sure, I'm sure there may be some women, the minority of women, who keep men on the back burner or would, just like there are men who would do the same thing for women. But that's not the majority. That's not how most women operate. But like these guys have learned it once, or they saw it in a movie, or they know a guy who knew a guy whose cousin had that situation happen to him, and they just paint every single woman with the same brush.
Yeah.
And all of this just screams, I am entitled to your body.
Yeah.
Because
I just want to shoot loads in your face. That's all I want to do. That's what
that's what we want too, apparently.
Yeah. Only if you hate us though.
Yeah, that's true.
What? That's the big I love you to death means I'm not sexually attracted to you at all.
It doesn't. Neither of those sentences mean that.
No. Those are not compatible.
No.
And because, like, I love you to death, like, doesn't have anything to do with sex, though. Like, I love my cats to death. You love Zeelool and Gozer to death.
Absolutely.
You tolerate your husband. I tolerate my partner.
And I said, but I've told my niece I love you to death, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, why is he thinking that everything is gospel? Like, there's no.
And why is everything about
sexual attraction? Yes, because that's all women are good for.
Oh yeah. See, and this is the other thing. This is another reason why I have a problem with this. Is like, and this one here kind of exemplifies it. It's like everything is about sex. The sex offenders that I had to work with would see women as basically cum receptacles. That's what they were. Like, whether they were your mother, your cousin, your sister, that's what they're there for, is just to have sex with. And it doesn't matter, like, a woman can't say no, because
that's their purpose.
Yeah, it's their purpose. It's their function in your family. And I've worked with, like, service users that were like that.
So, I mean, taking it out of the sex offender, like, this type of guy, how does he then justify, getting married, having a wife, because this type of guy is going to eventually get married and have children, right? Like, how does he disassociate that woman from all the other women he writes about?
I think they just don't have they're not friends. Like, if you think about our partners, we're friends with our partners, aren't we? We do stuff with them. They're part of our lives. We talk to them. We have in-depth conversations with them about a variety of things. But blokes like him won't do that. Like, they will be in quite a shallow marriage, I would think. Where
I actually know someone, like a friend's brother married someone who, like, they're not friends. And then she asked him about it once, and he was like, listen, I've got my friends for companionship and conversation. She's a good mom. And that was how he, like, his wife was just a wife and mother.
That's what I imagine this guy's like.
This is what women say to all of the betas in their orbit.
Betas, I hate that.
They know they'll never sleep with. If a woman has ever says this to you, you're never going to fuck her. And why do you think that she owes you? Like,
why does she owe you fucking?
It's just exhausting. It is exhausting. Yeah. And, like, it must be exhausting for them too, to constantly walk around feeling like they're being rejected by women who don't even know they're making passes at them.
Yeah.
And half the nice guys don't even approach women. They just assume if they hold the door open for a woman or tell her she looks nice that she's going to drop to her knees and start sucking his dick. Like, they never approach women and then constantly talk about being rejected by them. Yeah. Gadzooks.
This is why, like, my first piece of advice to men like this is, don't try to date, don't try to get involved sexually with anybody. Just find out about people like you would talk to your bloke mates. Talk to women like that, and you'll be surprised at the results.
And work on yourself, right? Be someone who's worth spending time with.
Yeah. Have some insights of your own. Have some, like, thoughts that are individual and not just regurgitations of Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson.
Be a complete person.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. And, like, and then I get, if me as an autistic man can grasp that other people have internal worlds that aren't like mine, then surely these fucking people can, if they're not autistic. That's
you'd think.
It's what confounds me the most, I think.
You would think, but you'd be wrong. You're like a brother to me. I will never fuck you.
Obvious.
Yeah.
Fucking obvious.
I don't understand why this is even in here.
No.
I once worked with a guy and we became good friends. And, like, he actually, so we would go to the gym together after work. And then, like, after we were at the gym together, he would jump online and play video games with my husband, right? Like, he became friends too. So one day I show up to work and I had to, like, walk past his desk to get to my desk. And I see him and I was like, hey, good morning. And I sat up to chat. And then he looked kind of uncomfortable. And then he was like, I had a dream about you last night. And I was like, what were we doing? And he said, we made out in the dream. And then I started laughing and I was like, how is that? It's like, it felt like I was kissing my sister. So it was a great way for me to make fun of him afterwards, because I was like, was I naked? He's like,
stop talking about it. But that's,
you're like a brother.
So that is quite a good sign, though, that, like, in for, like, men and women in a friendship, that, like, if you have a dream like that and you're a bit grossed out by it, then it's a good sign, isn't it?
I thought so. It kind of solidified our friendship a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Because then there's no doubt.
This one I think is particularly disturbing for me, because you're like a brother to me. Like, that doesn't happen overnight, right? Like, that is a friendship or a relationship that has developed over time. And if all you're hearing when she says that is, I will never fuck you, then it's the entire time you have been pretending to be this person's friend and developing a relationship and listening to them and pretending that you care.
Yeah.
All you've had in the background was, when am I going to get to fuck her?
Yeah.
It is like, this is probably like the whole butt fucking one aside. This is probably the one that is the worst because it's not just, I'm going to come in and out, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's, I've been in your life for long enough to develop these feelings of kinship and you know, like you're like a brother. And that's the long con is what that is.
And the fact that when you go to the next page, he actually does call it sexual conquest.
Yeah. A death sentence to your sex. That's the only reason you were there. So you spent all of that time fostering and developing a relationship, pretending to be someone that you were not, ignoring completely any relationship that was developing, because in the back of your head, the entire time, it was, when am I going to get to see her naked?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then when it comes out and that relationship ends, then he makes her the bad guy because he was in the friend zone the entire time, instead of, oh, I was lying to her.
Yeah.
Every interaction we had was just bullshit.
I had this at the back of my mind.
The entire time.
Dr. Drew was talking about this once, about how there's a lot of young men at the moment, because of the way that the media's worked and the kind of things that get talking about in national newspapers and stuff, and also like the way that online dating works now. And just above a lot of the focus is particularly a problem in the States. Young men don't know how to approach and date women anymore. And he said that like this kind of thing here that he's talking about is like the men think that they're flirting and they're forming a bond with a woman, and it's just like, I've got to wait for my time. I've just got to wait for my time will come. And so if you so part of the strategy is to form a friendship with them for 2 or 3 years, and it's like, you know, I clean her driveway, I trim her bushes, I cook her dinner sometimes or whatever, we hang out and it's all great fun. But, you know, now's the time. Now I get my sex, right? Now we get together.
Yeah, and it's almost like when you go to like a deli counter and you have to pick that you are next number, it's like they think that's what they've got, right? That they've plucked off their number, and if they do enough of these things, but it's like, that's what friends do for one another. Do you know, like when it snows, whoever my husband or the neighbor gets out first will do the other sidewalk in front of their house, because that's just how we operate. If when we've gone out of town, our neighbors have come over and cut our grass, we do the same thing for them, right? It's not, that's what friends do.
Yeah. I
have had friends over and made dinner for them. I didn't expect anything out of a return. Like, if everything is just biding your time to get something without ever actually explicitly saying, I have feelings for you, I'd like to be in a relationship, what do you expect to happen? That she's going to be like, all right, I mean, there's no one else around, I guess it's your turn.
I might as well lie back and think of England.
When is the right time and not right time? Because this guy also in a video said women they say they don't want to be approached, but yes, they do. No, they don't, right? Women, when they're walking their dog, when they're at the grocery store, when they're just out living their lives and running errands, they don't want to be approached. They just want to be able to do their things. When women are out with friends, they're out at a bar, they're out at a club, they're out dancing, and they're in a social situation that is conducive to meeting people. That's where they want to be approached, but that's where you're not approaching them, because I'm not going to fucking pick up a girl I met at a bar, right? Like, it's this vicious logic that if as soon as a woman leaves her house, she's open for business. Yeah,
exactly. And what I think is like the follow-on problem from all of this is that men like him are exploiting young men who don't know any better yet, because they've been fucked up in whatever way they've been fucked up by society, and they're coming of age and they're turning into men. And guys like this so-called guru, they're preying on men like that, because it's like, yeah, look, I've got solutions for you. Here's the solutions. But it's all bullshit, and it just feeds into their false perception of women. And then it's going to put them further down that dark path to a point where you can't save them anymore. You can't bring them back. And then that's what bothers me the most, is it's exploitation of men and women. And then there's women are going to end up being made victims of this by men who he's helped foster and create.
Kind of feel like you hope we get to a point where people would eventually know better. But like this guy, he's a young man, right? I would guess he's in his, I don't know,
mid to late 20s.
Yeah. And he's got this, like, that no one has ever taught him better, and that we're still at a place where we still need, and it's like everything else, right? Like, how are people still, racist and homophobic and transphobic, all those different things? It's like, we should be able to get to a place where we can understand each other and we can empathize with one another and we can see each other as real people. And that while there are differences among us, they're not enough of a difference to foster all of this discord and this hate and this fear. It's just, it all kind of shakes down to just not being willing to understand or learn or grow or develop because they're just so stuck in this, that, like you said, that psychopathy of that transactional relationship.
Yeah.
And until you can see people as people, you're never going to get past that and actually form any meaningful or lasting bonds.
Oh,
now I'm going to be mad for the rest of the day. I got to go walk a dog. And we will return with part 2, chapter 3, next week.
Yeah. Now you got to fade to black.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fucking tell me what to do. You're a man. You're the boss of me.
Yeah. But not all men, though. Not all men.
Only
Only
you,
some.
though.
Yeah.